Good morning. My name is Matt Yerkes. I'm one of the co-organizers here at 1 Million Cups. And today we have Voyage Virtual Media here to present. They're a Milwaukee-based company specializing in VR. So what little I don't know, they're going to be able to expand on that. So the way we kind of start with this is if everyone wants to go around, introduce themselves, who they are, company, whatever it may be, and why you're here at 1 Million Cups. So I'm going to start with Alex.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex Hampton. I'm from.
Also thank our sponsors, Jake Price, One Page Accounting, and his sons. You'll see the stickers on your cups, and the Milwaukee Realty Company. And as well, we've got Brian from Little Studio Creative. So, go ahead guys.
Awesome. Well, good morning everybody. This is exciting for us to see as many people come out to see what virtual reality is all about. We are Voyage Virtual Media. We're a VR company out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. One of the only ones. And really we make VR applications for Fortune 500 companies right now. So it's a new space. It's really going to change the way that everyone looks at reality a little bit. I want to start out by introducing ourselves. I'm Nick Walside, the Chief Executive Officer.
I'm Tyler Cummings, the Chief Operating Officer. I'm Riley Gazarowski, our Chief Technical Officer.
And just really quick, I want to shout out a couple of people. Our intern, Paul. We're really excited, 18-year-old whiz kid. We're really excited about him. And secondly, I want to thank my parents. They've really believed in us since the beginning, about 2 years ago when we were cold calling people, asking them if they wanted a VR app, and people were hanging up on us. Not what we're talking about. But it's important as an entrepreneur for your team to believe in you, and even better when your parents do. So we're going to run through virtual reality, what we do, and then kind of virtual reality from a 500-foot view. Next slide. So really what we do is we do 360 video. This is full immersive 360 video. We do VR applications, we have a YouTube compatibility, and we do sporting events, virtual tours, pretty much anything where you'd want to look all around you. It's really a cool medium. We just partnered with Johnson Controls, who's using it as a training application. Second, we do virtual reality games, and that's really what we love to do. The 360 video is kind of what's paying the bills right now, but we pivoted to a software development firm. So we've worked with some bigger brands making VR games out of their kind of vision and interactivity that they want their brand to convey. And we actually have a back-end data analytics system that measures what people are looking at, lets you know the reach of your marketing campaign, and pretty much any other metric that you want to know while people are gazing in the headset. So really what we're trying to do is we're trying to change the world. The way that everyone does everything, whether it's your mobile, whether it's the computer, whether it's the television, this is the next medium. And being pioneers in this industry, what we call it is evangelizing. And it's cool to have this many people here and kind of get a little glimpse into the future. This is really going to change every industry, no matter what you're in, whether it's retail, whether it's interior design. It's going to change a lot of stuff. So to be able to be inspired by something is really what we had happen with virtual reality, and we hope that we can convey a little bit of that to you today. So really what this is, it's a portal. We're taking people places that they've never been. We're creating virtual worlds. We're creating this metaverse that will connect everybody at one point. So instead of having to go to a sporting event, you can just put on a headset and you'll have a front row seat. But what if you can do that with your friend? With your friends, across the country, and you can sit right next to you while watching the sporting event. We're looking at changing the way that people are connected forever. So really, it's trying to open this portal up to as many people as we can. And right now, the first adopters are gamers, which we, again, love to make. But there's a lot of business applications for this. It's going to change the way that people are able to be in the same room with each other, interact with each other, build stuff together. So this is a cool medium for us to start pioneering because it really does affect every industry. So we partnered with HTC about 4 months ago. So we're official Vive developers. We just actually signed some paperwork with Facebook. So we're going to be developing for Oculus 2. And that's really where we see people open their eyes for the first time to VR, is when they try the Vive out, when you're able to walk around the virtual space and interact with the virtual environment. I mean, it's really being immersed in that kind of virtual environment that we're able to create or capture and put people in. So again, this is a new medium. We hope that everyone can kind of start to fathom what we're trying to do here. And it's exciting for us. So I'm going to hand things off to Tyler to kind of tell you about the different industries we're in and the industries that are being disrupted by virtual reality right now.
Cool. Thanks, Nick. So just a quick show of hands. How many people in here have actually tried some sort of VR before? So that's a pretty good amount. I think in the next probably 2 to 5 years, every single hand in here will go up. And that's just where we're going with VR. As much as we're in here to talk about the cool things that we have going on, whether it's games or training simulators or 360 video, taking someone to a space they've never been before, and the analytics behind it. VR is really going to truly disrupt every industry. I mean, we all represent different industries. One way, shape, form, or another, it's going to affect yours. So we want to also evangelize VR as much as we can. Entertainment. This is going to probably be a lot of people's first time trying VR is in the entertainment field, whether it's sporting events, live streaming concerts. The majority of these events now have VR located in around the stadium. You can pick up a Samsung Gear headset and you can see it from courtside. It's pretty cool where we're going with this. Social experience. This is a debatable topic. Right now, when someone's plugged into the headset, whether it is the Samsung or it is the HTC Vive, you're kind of cut off from the rest of the world. You're the funny-looking guy in the corner with the headset on and the controllers, right? But really, I think what VR is actually going to do is bring us closer together in a social aspect. We're going to be able to connect with people on different parts of the globe in ways we've never connected with them before. So what is seen as somewhat antisocial, potentially, So what's seen as antisocial, potentially, just introverted experiences, it's actually the complete opposite. I mean, Facebook is the largest social media platform in the world right now. They put $2 billion into Oculus last year. That really got the kind of what was going with the VR market was already starting to accelerate. That was the catalyst, right? So this is really going to shape, define, and change what we know, what we think, what we perceive as a social experience. Being able to be in a coliseum or a theater, a virtual auditorium with millions of people, and you'll be able to interact with these avatars. When you go out to reach their hand and shake their hand, it'll feel like you're shaking their hand, and you'll just be plugged in your headset in the corner of your office. And when you take it off, you'll totally forget where you are. It's cool to see where this is going, and I think the social aspect of things is going to be a lot different than a lot of people think. Also, education. So this is something that we at Voyage try to do pretty frequently, is take our gear to schools in and around the Milwaukee area, the Boys and Girls Club. Education is going to completely change as we know it. What started with pen and paper for mathematics or science is now going to be put your headset on and learn the patterns, the formations, the structure behind how these things come together. When you're going to be building molecules in chemistry class, you'll actually be able to grab the oxygen and grab the hydrogen and bring them together. So really, as innovative as you can think, whatever your mind can conceive, with virtual reality, this isn't actually a platform that we can now make that a reality, a virtual reality. It's going to be one of the leading kind of sectors within VR is education and how it can change. Right now, there's actually schools in Japan who are virtual reality high schools. There's kids scattered across kind of the countryside out there who were issued virtual reality equipment from their school, and it's a case study right now, but it's the first time that a school is VR and you're able to attend and go to all of your lectures through VR. So just kind of baby steps with some of this stuff, but like Nick said, we're pioneering the industry, so it's really cool to see this come together. Medicine. This is kind of one of the industries that's already been doing VR for a while now. It's a rudimentary basic form of it, but it's simulators. You go in there with your controllers, and you've got kind of the cave type environment with screens all around you, and you're trying to practice for an upcoming surgery. Right now, a lot of surgeons or doctors watch video and to prep for their surgery. They want to see someone else do it. So whether it's 360 video, and when we can take you there to a live surgery, or if you can train for an upcoming one, the technology is just getting there where we can do this in a realistic form, and that you can believe that you're there. The early studies have shown that there's over a 40% increase in skills with VR surgeries and VR training. So the health field will also completely be revolutionized. And then retail experience. Earlier this week, Cadillac actually said they are going to start doing away with some of their dealerships in form of a virtual dealership. So all you do is download the app and you get to check out the car. That brand new Escalade or CTS, whatever you want to drive, it takes you there. You get to sit in the car, you get to click the buttons, you get to see what it's like driving on the countryside. So long story short, VR is here. It's the early stages of it, and every single industry, one way, shape, or form or another, is going to be affected. And that's why we think what we do is so fun. Yes.
How do you build this stuff? Like, how do they get on there to look at it?
There's a variety of ways that we can capture content, whether it's a 360 camera rig, where you're actually capturing the video in that area, or building it out in a virtual environment, very similar to a video game. Those are kind of the two sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, I can jump in there. So we talk about this idea of full presence in virtual reality, and there's a notion that to achieve what humans would consider full presence, you're going to need all 5 of your senses actively plugged into the matrix, essentially. But we found out through both our studies and studies globally that it's much more of a threshold to achieve what we talk about as presence or full presence. From just a headset standpoint or just a playback video standpoint, we find one of the first things people want to do is reach out and touch something. So just being able to touch, grab, interact with things around you goes a long way towards tricking your subconscious into thinking you are in a virtual environment. But with the right resolution of displays, the right refresh rate from the computer, and the right type of building rendering in your environment, along with a few other tricks, we can pass that threshold where your subconscious and the memories that are generated from this experience don't feel different than the memories generated from a real life experience. So life in virtual reality, just like Ty touched on, there are a lot of people out there that believe it's going to be a very isolated experience, a very antisocial experience. Or if we get people who start building these metaverses, these entire virtual worlds and communities alongside our own, that participants are going to be stuck in that world or attached to that world so deeply that they have a hard time coming back to reality. I really think that the potential of virtual reality is far greater than that. It's not just going to be one alternate reality, it will be many, many alternate realities. Just like there is a subreddit for every topic you could possibly imagine, there will be these universes that are populated with people of similar interests and designed to facilitate whatever it is that you went there to do. So we're really giving people the ability to connect with others in their field in a new way, as well as perform new tasks that simply weren't possible for a human to achieve before. So we talk about virtual reality as the next evolution of computing platforms. We went from the desktop computer all the way back, I guess up through the iMacs and the all-in-ones, great screens, retina displays, but still something lacking. And we all are familiar with the supercomputers that we all carry in our pockets, connected to basically all the world's information at any given time, which is really transformed. We've seen it transform professional and social life. We strongly believe that the next step in this process is going to be the virtual computing platform. There's something intrinsically, deep and innate about the ability to see things in 3 dimensions. Rendering something stereoscopically and getting a feeling for that depth will always be more impactful and always leave a deeper impression than anything on a flat or 2-dimensional screen. Just a few awesome metrics about the industry coming up. We're expecting this to be a $30 billion industry by 2020. That is just virtual reality. There are varying degrees of augmented reality that would get added on top of that, whether it's the new Lenovo phone that has Google Tango technology built in, all the way up through Microsoft's HoloLens. Combined, we're anticipating about $150 billion across all the ranges of augmented reality, but just focusing on virtual reality, 30 billion in just a few years. We're seeing a huge increase in the headsets that are actually out there. Manufacturers like Oculus, Samsung, and HTC have really been racing to just fill the demand, just to manufacture enough for the demand that's out there currently. So in just another 2 years, we're going to jump from 15 to 50 million headsets, if not more, globally. You can see there's a pretty great traction across all of the current generation demographics, including the baby boomers. Above half, 65%, just short of it, would say that they are very not only interested, but have tried it and potentially see the use in their field or their home entertainment for this type of technology. Understandably, our largest potential market right now is in gaming. That is the natural entry point for a technology like this. The gamers already have the high-end hardware required to push a full fidelity virtual experience. But we anticipate within just probably a year and a half to 2 years, we will have a much lower barrier of entry, barrier of participation to bring this technology into your own home. After gaming, we do see a huge, the other notable one is going to be software. So outside of just the gaming software, the entertainment software, there's going to be a huge market for the business side of this as well. Anything that you can imagine, any flat application that's popular will be brought into virtual reality. So 2/3 of people interested in using VR for TV, movies, video, that falls heavily under the entertainment sector. The idea of watching something on a flat screen, well, now it seems incredibly common. It's going to start to transition into virtual. It's going to make things like Avatar. I mean, I guess that still looks like a gimmick right now. It still seems like a gimmick, but more of a gimmick than it was. Yeah, 60% in gaming. I think that's pretty understandable. If not more, as more people try, we're going to see a huge section of the gaming community get into it. The one that really stands out to me here is the fact that virtual reality has a 5 times higher adoption rate than smartphones. When the original iPhone came out and people were freaking out about it, lining up around the block, we're expecting, and we are on track to have virtual reality in consumers' hands at a much higher rate than even smartphones were put into your pockets. And now most of us take that for granted. So we're very excited about where this technology is going.
So I guess I'd like to end it with, if you could be anyone, if you could go anywhere, if you could do anything, what would you do? This is really a new platform where it takes pioneers, people who are willing to risk it and do things that you can't Google anymore. There's no blueprints for it. We're trying to create that new platform. So on the business end of things, if you guys do know anyone who is looking for a virtual reality application, we work with lots of different companies, small, big, from Paramount Pictures to a local small startup. So we can really do pretty much anything within the span of virtual reality. It really depends on what you're looking for. But it's exciting for us to see as many people in Milwaukee to come out and try to learn about virtual reality, because we usually have to go out to the West Coast or Chicago to find people who are really interested. So to build this hub in Milwaukee is really what we're trying to do, and with developers and building that community of virtual reality here is something we're very passionate about. We're all from Milwaukee, so we want to at least have a foothold here as we do transition to our second office out on the West Coast. If you guys do have any questions, we'll be taking questions. We do have a late morning meeting, and I imagine there's going to be a lot of these. Hit you guys with a lot of information, but we'd like to get people to try demos so you can kind of fathom what we're trying to do also. It really kind of takes someone to try it to really understand the capabilities of it. But yeah, we'll open up for any questions, and I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. Sure.
There actually is a sixth sense, which is, because I've actually been doing this, I've been in medicine, so I've been doing this for years and watching this try to develop and figure out how it's really going to work. And the sixth sense is we all have a sense of where we are in space, okay? Sure. And for me and for a lot of people, this distorts that, and actually I get ill very quickly. Sure. That's and I'm not alone.
Yeah,
okay?
definitely.
So how you were talking about how to trick that or whatever, what kind of progress is being made, because there's a significant percentage of people who have this
Absolutely.
kind of issue.
Yeah, absolutely there is, and that's a huge challenge within the virtual reality developer community. The first two things that we generally do, or would like to do, one of them is like I talked about, the refresh rate. Software that was built to look good on a regular screen will not will necessarily not look good in virtual reality. And we see a lot of people trying to take existing applications, whether they're games or software, and just port them to virtual reality, drop the virtual reality camera into their software project and hope that it works. We have to get from, let's say, a very efficient gamer program will be running consistently at 60 frames a second on a regular machine. We have to be able to push all of our software to a minimum of 90 frames a second to remove any perception of lag as you're moving around. That's one huge source of what we call, simulation or cyber sickness. The other half of that would be definitely the resolution of the screen. Right now we're at just over 2K vertical resolution, the raster on these headsets, which is not bad, definitely better than it was on the Oculus DK2 or some of these more entry-level headsets, but it's still not there. At that distance, it's still not Retina. We can still pick out the pixels, and that being able to see the pixels, what we call the screen door effect, where you see the spaces in between the pixels, does a lot to break the feeling of presence, does a lot to break the experience. So as hardware gets another generation or two down the road, and as computer performance catches up, I think we'll be able to go quite a long way to accommodating and removing a lot of the problematic symptoms.
I think that's a big reason why we partnered with HTC, because they give you room scale, and that's something that's brand new to virtual reality. Instead of having to move people around without them physically moving, you're able to walk around a virtual environment. As you move around the virtual environment. So that takes away a little bit of that locomotion sickness and cyber sickness that you're talking about. And again, that's a big challenge, is how do we have people traverse these huge worlds in virtual reality, And that's something that people are trying to figure out every day.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Kind of a two-part question here, but first, so as far as your business model go, are you just looking to develop this on behalf of other people, so companies that come in, or are you guys trying to find like your own killer app that you're going to be able to install? Because one is coming with the idea at the table, the other is going to require research and development,
Sure.
testing on your house. So what do you guys kind of envision for you?
So what's been the challenge for us is we bootstrapped to this point. And that's really something we're very passionate about. We sat down with angels, we sat down with VCs talking about taking this around and where we could go with just kind of the service and stuff. But our passion again is in creating our own intellectual property. Mm-hmm. So we have two actually programs that are coming out. One with the HTC Vive, which is going to be a video game that we're making along with another studio called Fortune Before Glory. And we're hoping that it's released by the holidays. And again, we have the back from Steam and HTC to help us get that out. And then another is kind of a hush-hush project that we're taking in seed round funding from California right now. So we have a couple of different software applications that will be released this year.
Yeah, and then kind of second part, so you touched on a lot of the industry
Sure.
and things like obviously some of the obvious things like video games and things like that. Do you guys have any kind of hunches on the non-obvious right now that nobody's really talking about?
Yeah, I think
you have to say it.
Yeah, sure. It's one of the applications that we're developing right now. It's a big market that no one is really paying attention to, and it needs to change. And VR is really kind of the perfect vertical for that to change. So that's, again, we can talk a little bit.
I would say things like pain management or exposure therapy are
Sure,
slightly
medical
less
field.
obvious, but have some incredibly promising research to go along with them.
Yeah. And again, we're when we talk about medicine, we're actually working with Children's Hospital to bring the HTC Vive to the inpatient kids who aren't able to leave their bedside. And that's really where we see, a big impact in medicine is being able to have these kids who aren't allowed to leave their room be able to go anywhere they want.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, well, what you guys are doing is really exciting, and congratulations on keeping up.
Appreciate it.
It's great for Milwaukee, and I hope you guys, a lot of continued success. I'm wondering, is there any interest on your side I know there's a lot of things coming out with like tactile suits and things like that.
Sure.
Any interest? Or you guys, what level of difficulty is it? So it sounds like from a lay person, like, oh yeah, you probably just plug it in.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? Could you explain that and what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. There's various levels of haptic feedback kind of across the board, and at the most basic level, it would be something similar to the rumble packs, the vibration in your controllers. So they've included that. That's something that everyone's pretty used to and is very straightforward to implement. Beyond that, a notable company, Tactical Haptics, is doing a pretty cool thing where they're incorporating moving panels on the sides of your controllers to make it feel like, if you've got something in your hand that's shifting or has weight to the end of it, you get a simulation around that. There's a couple other options. Gloves are being developed, both the kind that are for detecting where your hands are, and then a currently slightly more cumbersome apparatus that is able to provide feedback. So when let's say you grab a ball in the virtual world, the fingers on this glove will stop in place and give you the feeling of, oh, I'm holding something physical. So that all the way up through, you know, like the perception suits, where you bump into something in the virtual world and you feel it in the real world. That's still a little ways off, unfortunately. But absolutely, we're seeing a lot of people move in that direction. One other notable piece of technology, if you guys remember those, like, you know, simulator cars that people would pile into with the screen, make you feel like you're on a plane or a roller coaster or something. People are experimenting with those, but without physically moving forward, there's still a little bit of a disconnect between the virtual world and the real world, which is why now 6 different Six Flags parks around the world have added a Gear VR feature to one of their roller coasters. So as you move through the roller coaster, you feel what you normally feel, but you're in, you know, a virtual spaceship or a fighter, you know, plane, something like that, and you've got a game to play while you're on the roller coaster. So we're very, very intrigued by that technology as well.
Sure.
What does the roadmap look like for being able to, for resistance?
Sure.
Because there's no way to have resistance in a virtual world, so to feel it.
Yes, you're correct. Resistance, there's kind of twofold. One of them on the you know, fine motor function scale is where I would say those gloves fall in. That would give you the ability, you know, that sort of resistance. But in the world around you, it's been handled in a number of different ways. Some of them are bringing objects that have a similar physical mass into the world. Something, you know, you have 3 or 4 different weights of virtual objects that can turn into anything when you grab them to give you some sort of sense of actual weight. As far as resistance goes, it is more challenging. There are some large scale, cable and actuator setups. Nothing practical, nothing on a consumer level at the moment. Anything that does that is either in high-end sports training or medicine and analytics, or research and development phase. We're not quite to the consumer phase of a full body scale resistance simulator.
But just to kind of speak to that point, that really opens up the opportunity. You know, no one's really looking into that yet, and that's really where research and development, and if you want to get into virtual reality, this is the time to do it. Because no one has, the correct way of doing this. You can make your own application and set the standard for what other people have to do. Sure.
Right now, it seems to me like your business vision is that you do the Milwaukee guys or do virtual reality and all that stuff. So, I have a virtual reality project at you guys.
Sure.
What is your eventual vision, and how do you differentiate yourself from other groups like yourselves who might come in and
Yeah, absolutely.
specific technology, better technology,
Yeah.
or whatever, or how are you going to differentiate yourself?
Sure. And I think that kind of plays into, we haven't taken any investment. We've done this all with the resources that we have. And when you don't have the resources that these $1 million, $1 billion companies have, you have to get creative. So what we're able to do is start to look at the different markets and see where virtual reality can impact it, the biggest. And without the big players, still trying to come out with hardware, trying to figure out the games, trying to figure out, we're already thinking the business applications. We're thinking what would business people like to use with this technology. So that's kind of where we're going to separate ourselves, is with our IP and what we're creating internally. It's going to be a lot of cool software that we're going to release, that are going to be consumer-based. The kind of service-based model is what we're doing to pay the bills and keep the lights running. And being able to work with Marquette and Johnson Controls and Milwaukee Bucks and all these different, Fortune 500 companies, it gives us the ability to have that buffer fund while we do our own R&D and come up with our own commercial product. Any other questions?
So I still have questions you guys already hit on what we do to help you guys. But just to kind of wrap up, next week we're taking a field trip down to Hawthorne Coffee Roasters. We will send out an email that does have directions to there. So we would love to have you all there and see what they're doing at kind of a unique new coffee house. So other than that, thanks guys.
Thanks a lot.